Phil Heath, known as The Gift, dominated the bodybuilding stage not too long ago up until 2017 with his amazing muscular development and definition, wonderfully displayed in his most muscular pose, whilst in the 90s, Flex Wheeler, known as the Sultan of Symmetry, was arguably an uncrowned Mr. Olympia with his phenomenal lines that made his shape legendary. However, before these two bodybuilders, who were most definitely aided by modern performance-enhancing drugs, back in this silver era, there was a relatively unknown bodybuilder who displayed a tremendous combination of size and definition. Meet Len Peters, who was truly an amazing but forgotten silver era bodybuilder. This most muscular pose truly says it all. Sure, he may not be diced to the socks as many bodybuilders are of today, but appreciate the muscular development, especially of the upper body, and you will see what phenomenal genetics this man possessed. Baseball biceps, cannonball delts, and a striated chest, and he was able to develop such a physique over 70 years ago, drug-free. Truly amazing. And only through hard work was he able to achieve such a physique. And so today we're going to look at the life as well as the workout routine that created this wonderful bodybuilder from the silver era known as Len Peters. Len Peters was born in Brooklyn, New York, and at the age of 9 he was taken to the Dutch West Indies, now known as the Dutch Caribbean, as his father had business there. Whilst there, the young Len Peters would remember the most fateful day of his life. Quote, "The most important day in my life today is when I saw a copy of Muscle Power on a newsstand in Curacao. I saw a magnificently developed athlete on the cover, and it disturbed me, made me do a lot of thinking. That night I looked myself in the mirror, just like the skinny weaklings do in the ads, only what I saw wasn't skinny. I was fat, sloppy fat, and I didn't try to kid myself about it. The first thing I did the next day was to buy a copy of Muscle Power and read it from cover to cover." End quote. Len stated that he ordered a weighted barbell set with dumbbells, iron boots, and head strap with his friend, and after seeing some before and after photos in the next issue of Muscle Power, he was convinced he could develop a fine physique. Soon after, they discovered that another group of youths were also barbell training in Curacao, and the two joined forces to create their own small barbell club in Curacao. To the amazing surprise of his friends, Len was able to clean and press 150 pounds on his first try, indicating that indeed Len was genetically gifted and predisposed to transform himself into the phenomenal bodybuilder and weightlifter he would soon become. Using his basic barbell set for 7 months, Len's weight would drop from 220 pounds to a muscular 180 pounds. Len was a fan of Olympic weightlifting legend John Davis and soon began Olympic weightlifting himself. However, he was also a fan of Melvin Wells, and who wouldn't be? So Len used snatches, the clean and jerk, which were Olympic lifts of course, and bodybuilding movements in his routine in what he called an athlete's weight training program. Doing this program for 6 months, Len's weight would increase from 180 to 195 pounds in muscular condition. His press and snatch went up to 195 pounds, whilst his clean and jerk was 250 pounds. He was bench pressing 240 pounds for reps, and his squat was close to 300 pounds for reps. Although Len was called into the Dutch army during the Second World War, Len continued to train with his barbell set he brought along with him. After completing his service, he returned to the United States and settled down in Brooklyn. There he happened to walk by John Davis and began training with him. John Davis taught Len Peters his system of training, and the student applied the knowledge he had learnt. His press jumped from 200 to 250 pounds, his snatch from 195 to 230 pounds, whilst his clean and jerk from 250 to 300 pounds. John Davis was an advocate of heavy squatting and made Len handle heavy weights. In 8 months, Len was handling 400 pounds for 5 sets of 5 in the squat and a 1 rep max of 350 in the bench press. I am sure you are all wanting to know the kinds of routines that Len Peters trained with to develop this most phenomenal physique back 70 years ago, so let's go through them. Starting with frequency, Len would train 3 times a week in summer and 4 times a week in winter as he felt less tired in the cold weather. His training would last at least 2 hours and was as follows. Standing presses, the snatch, clean and jerk, squats, bench presses, curls, triceps presses, and Len would perform these exercises in the specified reps and sets. Len's measurements at the time were a body weight of 205 pounds, neck 18 inches, arms 17 3/4 inches, forearms 13 3/4 inches, a chest of 48 inches, thighs of 26 inches, and wrists of 7.5 inches. His best lifts were a press of 270 pounds, a snatch of 245 pounds, and a clean and jerk of 330 pounds, and his best bench press, 1 rep max, was 370 pounds. Len's diet was mainly a meat and vegetable diet, and he also drank milk and the occasional beer. Regarding sleep, Len would sleep at least 8 hours a night to allow for sufficient recovery. To think that Len was only a lifter would be a disservice to this forgotten Silver Era legend, for he was more than that. He believed in living a fulfilling, happy life. Other than weightlifting, he enjoyed playing football and cricket, and was also an accomplished trumpet player. He also enjoyed listening to classical music, in particular piano concertos such as Rachmaninoff's Second and Chopin's First. He also liked reading non-fiction and could read, write, and speak Dutch, Spanish, and Portuguese. As I hope you realize, Len Peters was not just a lifter, but a cultured intellectual. So I hope you have enjoyed this look at the forgotten Silver Era bodybuilder and weightlifter Len Peters. If you have enjoyed this video, then please give the video a like, subscribe, and leave me your comments. What do you think of Len Peters? What do you think of his training methods? I actually train quite similar to Len Peters in that I combine Olympic weightlifting with bodybuilding. I really enjoy it as this was a common way Silver Era lifters trained. Anyway, that's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Head to www.goldenerabookworm.com for the biggest range of classic old school bodybuilding books as ebooks, e-magazines such as Iron Man and Reg Park Journal, high quality bodybuilding posters of the Golden Era stars, merchandise and classic gymwear featuring Steve Reeves, Marvin Eder, John Grimmick, Reg Park, and many other Golden Era stars. For those wishing to build a classic physique, lose fat, and build muscle, online training is also available. Collectibles such as rare autographed photos from the Golden Era stars are also available, and to collaborate, please get in touch. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles. But how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these 3 books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com.